This conference will now be recorded.
Sounds like we're ready to go. We're being recorded. I'd like to call to order the meeting.
John, just a sec.
Yeah.
Just a
Okay.
sec. We're recording, but I don't know if we're on YouTube yet.
Okay, well, I'll wait then for your indication.
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, we're on YouTube now, streaming live, and they're going to troubleshoot Facebook, so we can go ahead.
Okay. This is December 16th, 2020, and it's time for another meeting of the Technical Transportation Committee. Every year or so, I remind members of the committee that I run the meetings because nobody else wants to. And based on the last 2 months, if you want that situation to change, just maybe send a note to Sally, and I'll just assume my normal duties as a member of the committee. So until that changes, let's get the meeting started with approval of the minutes. Nope, sorry, we do the roster first. This being a virtual or remote meeting, let's make sure we know who's available and in attendance. So let me go through the roll, and I guess you can say here if you're here virtually or some other way. So I am here. Sally, it looks like you're here.
Yes, here.
We're gonna, some people are off camera. Jeremy, I thought I saw you. Yes.
Here.
Taking roll, thank you. Bill Smith.
Scott Chandler, proxy for
Okay.
Bill Smith today.
Thank you. Get that one written down. Stu Klein. Didn't see him. Maybe he's at the Fuel Coffee House now, I don't know. Bill Carpenter for Lafayette Police. Mitch Langford.
I'm here.
Thank you. Somebody for the airport, who would that be today?
Adam Keister.
Thank you. And GLPTC.
I'm here, Bryce.
Okay, Bryce, thank you. I heard that Captain Ricks would be here. Got your
I'm
name
here.
down? Good. Somebody from West Lafayette Police.
Jason Filler is here.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a quorum, so we can proceed. And I'll try to call on those people every time we have a vote, which may start with the minutes. So have you had a chance to review the minutes that were sent out from the November 18th meeting? If so, either a motion to approve or to make corrections is in order.
This is Mitch. I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
And this is Jeremy, second.
Okay. Was that Mitch making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any need to make correction? If not, we can just do the roll call quickly. With a yes or a no, probably the easiest, yes or no, if you want to approve the minutes. Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay. Bill Smith, Scott Chandler,
Yes.
thank you. Stu Klein, did you appear? Not yet. Mitch Langford,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Keister,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
Captain Ricks,
Yes.
and then Jason Philauer.
Yes.
I had 8. Sally, you gonna vote?
I'm yes.
Okay,
And you, John?
I can vote unless you're now. So it's, I think, was it 9-0?
Correct.
Okay, good. So the minutes are accepted as distributed. Are there any access permits? Have you in that thing? Scott, any access permits?
Right. So no, we do not
Okay.
have any new major permits, and the two that are in progress, Love's and the Speedway gas station, we are still continuing to work with revisions and get those comments back. So
Okay,
nothing new to report.
okay, in the future perhaps.
There you go.
Yep, item 3 in the agenda, amend the fiscal year 2020 to 2024 Transportation Improvement Program. And who's going to give us the news there?
That'll be Doug.
Okay. Doug, you have the
Good
window.
afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon. We have received a request from the Crawfordsville District Office to amend the TIP, and it involves 4 projects. 3 of them are already programmed in the TIP. 2 projects involve adding federal and state funds for the right-of-way phase. One project is located on State Road 26 at the County Road 900 East intersection, and that is for additional intersection improvements. And the other project is on State Road 43 over the Wallace Ditch, and this is a bridge replacement project. This is located north of County Road 600 North. The third project is located on State Road 38, and it involves changing the project scope, and with that, changing the construction costs. Right now, the project is an overlay project, and it involves overlaying State Road 38 between the east side of the town of Dayton all the way to 421. Now they are going to do a major full depth reclamation project. And of course, with that scope change, the project costs go from $6.6 million to $10.17 million. The fourth project is a new project, an Ites equipment project. It is a district-wide project, and there are 3 locations here in Tippecanoe County. On the northbound travel lanes, of course, these all 3 are on 65. On the northbound travel lanes, The first one is located before the State Road 43 interchange, and the other two are located on the southbound travel lanes, one before State Road 25 and then one before State Road 28, of course, very far south side of the county. All the specific information for each project can be found in the staff report, and Area Plan Commission staff is recommending approval to the policy board. Are there any questions or comments?
So this is something we will vote on and to recommend that the policy board, well, with our recommendation favorably or otherwise.
Yes.
Correct.
So Sally, we have to wait a minute or so for people
Yes,
elsewhere
I'll
to
start.
comment.
I'll start the time. See
Okay.
if there's any public comment. And I think Tim's checking on the whether there's been any response, and we're at the minute mark.
Okay. Well,
Yes, so there were no comments about the material in the meeting so far. We did get one about the audio and video issues, which we responded to by stating that we are in the process of troubleshooting those.
okay. So it appears we're ready for the question unless some member of the committee has something else to offer. And I'd ask you to respond then yes or no to the, but do we have a motion? I guess we need the motion first.
So moved. This is Jeremy.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. And that was the motion, and we need a second.
Mitch, second.
Thank you, guys. I'll go down the roll again and just give me a yes or a no on the on this motion to move it on to the policy board, these tip amendments. I will vote yes. And Sally,
Yes.
Jeremy, your motion?
Yes.
Okay, Scott Chandler.
Yes.
I still don't see Stu Klein on the roster, but we'll go to Mitch.
Yes.
Okay, Adam Keister,
Yes.
Bryce.
Yes.
Captain Ricks has joined us. Is he ready to vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Jason?
Yes.
And did I miss anybody? Because I have that 9-0. Is that, well, it's
That's
unanimous.
correct.
Okay, good. Thank you. So that motion carries. And next on the agenda would be the APC Progress Report.
And Tim will start off there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so the first item that we have is regarding the second survey that we took for our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So what you're seeing on your screen is the results of the scoring process that we did for this survey. So in order to score this, we had people rank each different potential objective within each goal category, from 1 being the most important to 5 being the least important, or in some cases there were only 3 or 4 objectives. So in that case, 3 or 4 would be the least important objective. And so after tabulating all those scores, we were able to sort and see which was most important to survey respondents overall. So I'm not going to necessarily go through all of these, but I am going to highlight a couple of the goals that I thought had some interesting results. So the first one is the second goal, enhance transportation options and accessibility for all users. So for that one, the top two were very close in score with only a 1 point difference. And those two objectives were to add sidewalk ramps where they are missing, to make sidewalks accessible for all users, and to repair and maintain sidewalks to eliminate trip hazards. And I think that the interesting thing there is that those are both about the condition of the physical infrastructure, making sure that it's in shape that's adequate for people of all ability levels to use it. Without having to worry about, trips or cracks or running over cracks with a wheelchair or other mobility device, and so on. And then the next goal, the third one, improve, expand, and connect sidewalks, trails, and bike lanes. So the top two objectives for that were to construct sidewalks along major roads and near popular destinations to allow for longer trips on the sidewalk network, and then to connect existing trails to each other to allow for longer trips on the trail network. So both of those top two objectives really speak to connectivity and making sure that people can take their whole trip safely along the network without having to be on the sidewalk for a while and then get off the sidewalk for a while and walk on the shoulder of the road or some other unsafe location. So people definitely really value having that connectivity. So what we kind of see combining those two categories is that having adequate facilities that are connected are really important to people. And then if we go down a little bit, we go on to actually the next page. The next thing I wanted to highlight was about improving and expanding transit service. So one of the goals there is to add passenger rail service to major cities. And the interesting thing about that one is that not only is it the only one that's not related to our bus service, but it was also kind of the most polarizing category in that there were many people that ranked it as the top priority under this goal, but there were also many people that ranked it as the bottom priority, and there was not very much in between. So I think what that shows us for that is that although passenger rail service isn't of interest to everyone, there is definitely a market for it. There are people that are interested and would utilize that service as it would be available. So I think that's kind of some of the biggest highlights of this survey. If there are any questions, I will take those at this time.
Tim, where did these, to whom was the survey administered? How were these people found?
Yes, so we use kind of the same channels that we used for the first survey, the goal survey. We posted it on all our social media outlets, as well as sending it out to members of the Citizens Participation Committee. And several of those committee members have some connections where they could promote it on their social media or their websites, just posting some of the same links to the survey, or some of them even had their own members take the survey in some cases as well. So we kind of, that's how we spread around both these two surveys.
And what would be the next step?
Yes, so the next step is kind of related to item 2 on the agenda under this, which is about the Citizens Participation Committee. So we presented this at our meeting of the CPC earlier this month, and at that point they agreed that these goals and objectives made sense and that they were sufficient. And so now the next step for us is to go ahead and put some performance measures together as a planning staff. And then once the performance measures are put together and we have all 3 of these pieces, the goals, objectives, and performance measures, then we will be bringing those to you for recommendation for official adoption to the policy board.
Okay. Any other questions about the survey from members of the committee?
And with just another comment, Tim can correct me on the exact numbers, but the first survey, which prioritized the goals themselves, created and prioritized the goals, we had over 500 respondents. And as I recall, for the second survey, which is what Tim just presented, to set objectives within each goal, there were, what, 230 more or less respondents?
Yeah, that's pretty close. We had 591 for the first survey, 223 for the second.
Okay. So this is FYI at this point, and then we'll look forward to when this is reformulated for us for further consideration. We're ready to move on. I guess, Tim, you'll be talking about Citizens Participation Committee update, or have you just done that?
Well, that was mostly what I wanted to say about the committee. But I would like to mention one other thing. And I don't know, Doug, if you want to chime in on this if I miss anything. The other kind of big thing that we presented at our Citizens Participation Committee meeting was the TIP timeline. So Doug gave a very nice summary to the committee of what the TIP was, what it's used for, and why it's important. And he also mentioned that we will be taking some more information to them at our next Citizens Committee meeting in March. So that is also something that is ongoing. And of course, you guys will also be seeing the TIP, as you know, and many of you, the local government engineers, have already started that process of, submitting project lists and so on. So that was the other kind of big thing that happened at the CPC meeting. Doug, did I miss anything on that?
No, you covered it very well. Thank you.
Okay. Which brings us to the fiscal year 2022 TIP update. Is this administrative or otherwise?
This is another, for your information, kind of status report where we're at. We're still at the very beginning or the early stages of developing the new document, but now we have some official information to actually share. If you recall the early stages, we submitted a call for projects, and that deadline to receive them was December 4th. We received a lot of information from everyone. Thank you for submitting it. I really appreciate it. Had great time putting it together. The following Monday and Tuesday, these two lists, basically the local list was created and then presented to the CPC meeting, which Tim just alluded to. The first project list that is shown is the one that was created for local projects. City of Lafayette is proposing 3 projects. South 9th Street project, of course, is in the early stages right now, received federal funds for preliminary engineering and asking for federal funds for right-of-way and construction. 2 additional projects, Park East Boulevard, constructing the last piece, and then a new project, basically what I refer to as the Mayo Mile on South Street, just east of Sagamore Parkway to I-65. An exciting part about this is looking at creating it so it's more pedestrian friendly with sidewalks, trails, and then also safe crossings to get to either side of the road. City of West Lafayette submitted 5 projects, 3 of which are requesting federal funds. Of course, funding request for Sagamore Parkway Trail for construction, and then for engineering for Cherry Lane Extension, and then Soldiers Home Road, and then also for right-of-way for Soldiers Home Road. 2 projects will be using just local funds. Cumberland Avenue Phase 4, basically west of Sagamore Parkway, and then Lindbergh Road, the portion between Northwestern Avenue and Salisbury. We have a bunch of projects for Tippecanoe County. First one, of course, their bridge inspection project. And then we have some new projects. This is all related to North 9th Street. The county is going to be, or have submitted a request for urban or rural funds, so what we call Group 4 funds, excuse me, and that will be covering the rural portion, basically most of working or rehabilitating the road, and then putting a new bridge deck on the bridge over the Wabash River and building a sidewalk, basically from Davis Ferry Park up and connecting it to the Wabash Heritage Trail on the other side of the river. And then the request for federal funds to build the urban portion of the trail, basically where the trail stops Lafayette, and then extend that to the Community Corrections Facility. The additional projects, of course, looking for federal funds to construct the pedestrian safety improvements at McCutcheon High School, the elementary school just around the corner. Looking for funds for right-of-way and then construction for Morehouse Road, Yeager Road, and then 3 bridge projects using Group 4 federal funds, Bridge 64 and 65, which are on Lilly Road, and then 527, this is on Old US 231, this is over the Wea Creek. In addition, they have a lot of other bridges that they're looking at replacing or rehabilitating in the future. This is just an overall list of what they would like to do. Of course, these won't not get done in the next 5 years, but this is the master list of what they would like to do. We did not receive any projects from Battleground nor Clarks Hill, and of course, none from Dayton. For City Bus, we have a lot of projects. Of course, federal funding used for providing the operations, and then for major capital projects such as a replacement of engines, transmissions, computer hardware, software, etc., bus replacement, and then a lot of other projects that have been approved but not yet started. And then finally, rounding out the list, we have some projects from Purdue Airport. The fire rescue vehicle, which I was surprised to see over $700,000, must be a pretty big one. And then, of course, in the very bottom, snow removal equipment. And then working on one of the runways, and then also the East Parallel Taxiway. We also have, and I'll touch upon this, it was later in the packet, we also have a project list for Indiana Department of Transportation projects. Nearly 60 of them, and most of them, or large majority, are related to maintenance. Not surprising there, but doing my best to do a Dave Letterman top 10, or actually top 5 in terms of cost. The biggest project programmed in this new tip will be adding travel lanes on I-65, basically beginning where the bridge widening projects are and going up past State Road 43 and basically just north of County Road 725 North, over $60 million. The second project, $10.1 million, State Road 38, that full depth reclamation. This is in part of that TIP amendment. The number 3 was added auxiliary passing lanes on 231 South. $8.8 million, construction targeting 2023. The next one, State Road 26, structural overlay, and this is in the western part of the county at $6.2 million. And then the last one, State Road 225, bridge rehabilitation project at $4.9 million, and that is for the bridge over the Wabash River. Now, looking ahead at our meeting next month, we will be discussing and allocating all of our federal funds. We have a little over $4 million of STBG funds, about $727,000 in safety funds, and a little over $200,000 in transportation alternative funds. Of course, we have a lot of requests, and the difference is actually just pinch over $3 million in terms of requests. So we won't have to drop a lot of projects, but we'll have to do some rearranging a little bit. And again, that's the big task that's coming up next. Once we complete that, I have approximately a month to finish the draft document. The deadline that NDOT wants it for their review and Federal Highway review is still February 15th.
Sally,
Any
did you have
questions?
something Yeah, Sally, do you have something to say? I thought I saw Sally's hand go up.
Sorry, I was waving at Joe Bumbleberg, who poked his head in the door.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Doug is asking for any questions or clarification. There's a lot there.
Sure
We'll
is.
see some of it in coming months. We're going to play the spreadsheet game.
Yes.
We move dollars around, okay?
Correct.
We'll start out with the recommendation and then go from there.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Anything else on this topic? This is the 2022 tip update.
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Next item is the fiscal year 2021 safety performance measures and targets agreement. That could be
That's
a Tim
me.
thing. Oh, that's you. Okay.
This is just a bit of information. Every year we, all MPOs are asked or required to either concur with the state's targets for safety measures or create their own. To date, all the MPOs in Indiana have supported state targets, and they are for number of fatalities, rate of fatalities, number of serious injuries, and rate of serious injuries, and then pedestrian and non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries lumped together. So there are 5 targets that have to be set every year by INDOT. And what I'm letting you know is that the policy board approved the 2021 targets at their meeting just a couple weeks ago or last week. And so they have been, our concurrence with those targets has now been sent to the appropriate staff at INDOT Central Office. I will let you know that in April, INDOT got word that Federal Highway Administration gave them an approval for having met 4 of the 5 targets from 2018. You have to meet 4 of the 5 to sort of get a passing grade. Otherwise, you have to use more of your money in safety projects. So Indiana passed the first analysis test from 2018.
Okay, any questions about this? Okay, thank you, Sally. Next on the agenda is the long-awaited 18-month letting list.
Yes, and I don't have a drum to lead into that, so my
No music.
apologies. Once again, we have another extensive list, a lot of projects coming up, especially the remaining part of this fiscal year and then even actually into the next fiscal year. Looking at the first 6 projects, these were on a November letting. The specific information is on the 3rd page, but I'll just cover a few of the highlights for these. The first project was on its own contract. It was let for $1.148 million. There were 5 bids. Estimated completion date is October of 2021. This is to replace the superstructure on the Big Shawnee Creek over State Road 25 over the creek. The next projects are all on 65 bridge painting. There were 6 bids submitted. The bid it was let for $2.37 million. The estimated completion date is November of 2021. Looking at projects 7 through 16, we in essence have 2 contracts. Of course, this is on bid letting here of recent on the 9th. We had 5 bids submitted. Superior Construction was the low bid at just a pinch over $5 million. Engineer's estimate was $5.9 million. When I looked this morning to see if it was awarded, it was shown as not awarded yet. The remaining projects are on various different roads. 4 bids were submitted. Ram Construction, $974,000 and change was their bid, which was the low bid, and the engineer's estimate was $1.56 million. Looking further down the list, we have 5 projects coming up for the January letting. 3 of those are local, so we'll have all of our federal funds obligated in January. The other 2 projects, one on State Road 38, is the section between 231 and 52, and then 26, concrete pavement preservation there at the interchange just east of that. Looking for next year, or the next page, actually the remaining part of this fiscal year, we have projects scheduled for February, March, and April. And the projects that are on the list for the February letting are all related to the Hoosier Heartland thin deck overlays. The one in March is on 38 for ADA sidewalk ramp construction. And then in April, rounding it out, we have 3 projects. The projects for the next fiscal year, I'm just going to touch on 3 of them. In a July letting on US 52 auxiliary lanes, including acceleration, deceleration, or turn lanes. That's on a, again, July 14th letting. That's going to be from County Road 400 South in Tippecanoe County to 700 South in Clinton County. The next one is on 38, is the one that we discussed in the tip, the full depth reclamation. That's on an October letting. And then one right below that, project 42, Sagamore Parkway Trail. It's on a November letting. Any questions or comments? There's a lot of information here.
How long should we wait, Sally? Anything from the public we should wait for?
No, since there's no action on this item.
Okay. Moving on to Roman numeral 5, if we're ready. Other business, and we have something called Utility Relocations Inspection and the CE contract.
Yeah, this is me. At the last MPO council meeting, which was December 3rd, it was a joint November-December meeting. Kathy Eaton McCallop talked about some new things that are now available for LPAs, local public agencies, and their projects. One of which is that they'll be able to move utilities prior to the letting if there is an INDOT inspector engaged and if the right-of-way is clear. So being able to take care of utilities ahead of the letting is in some cases a pretty big deal. The other part of this is that, and utility relocation then becomes a separate phase with its own funding. Another new thing that's come along is that CE can no longer be part of PE, and thus it cannot be in the PE RFP. So from now on, CE will have to have its own RFP. And you may have seen this already, but I wanted to highlight it. It did come out in an INDOT newsletter, which should have hit your inboxes on the 8th of December. And it's titled Utility Relocation and Construction Inspection for Local Projects. So that's sort of a summary of that. And I don't know if any of the folks on our meeting from INDOT have any additional information to add, but I would like to offer them a chance if they do.
Okay, any comments about this one? The next item on the agenda is citizen comments, and we could let the clock run while I take care of announcing the next meeting. Is that okay? The clock is running?
The clock is running.
Well, I guess our next meeting will be January 20th, unless things change drastically. That would be at 2:30 under the same format we're using now.
Correct.
Is that a safe assumption?
It is.
Although an unhappy one, yeah. I'll wait a few more seconds for citizen comments if there are any.
We're at 30 seconds, so if we could go just a little bit longer.
Sure. Thanks, everybody, for being part of this meeting.
Oh, I have an announcement to make while we're waiting.
Yeah.
Tim would never toot his own horn, but everybody should know that he was notified yesterday that he passed his PE exam on the first try. So we now have a newly minted PE on our staff.
That's wonderful.
done, Tim.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
thank
a
you
big
all. I
deal.
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
It is a big deal. Okay, we're past 1 minute, and I'll check and see from Tim if he's noticed any comment.
No, there were no additional comments.
So let me do it this way. Unless there are any objections to adjourning the meeting, I will do so. Are there any objections? Shout them out. Is that legal, Sally, to do it that way just this once?
Well, it's legal all the time to do it that way.
Okay. Okay. So then thank you all, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.